All right, so we're COMP123, and it's week 4, lesson 4, part 3. And I'm going to do a quick villain class demo. First, I'm going to go in here into my project. I'm going to go add, and I'm going to say new item, and we're going to go into class. In here, instead of hero, I'm going to type capital V for villain, right? And press add. Okay, here's my villain class, right? My villain class is cool and all, right? But what I wanted to do is I wanted to extend from the hero class. Now in Java, we have the extends keyword, right? But here in C# we don't. We have a colon, right? And when we use a colon, we connect to the hero class. So it's going to find the class that's available to us inside of our namespace. And if you notice, we're all in the same namespace. COMP123 lesson 4 part 2 is a namespace. So as long as I'm in the same namespace, I can use any classes that I've defined within the namespace to extend from. Okay, so this is my hero. I'm extending from my hero class. And of course, because I've done that, I have my constructor, right, which is my new constructor for the villain class, which is a public constructor. I need to do that. And here's my villain class. Okay, and maybe in here I'm going to have, like I said, maybe one more property that my hero doesn't have. And my one property that my hero doesn't have, I'm going to make it a private property, right? She's going to have a name that my hero doesn't have, just because, right? So I'm going to say private string name, right, for my heroine in this particular case. And it says public villain, and it says, hey, what's the error? It says COMP123 lesson 4 part 2 hero does not contain a constructor that takes 0 arguments. Why is that? Because I need to call, when I extend the superclass, I need to take in all of the arguments that I would normally take in from my parent class. So I still got to listen for the same things. Now if I look at hero, I need to listen for health, smarts, and gender. So this constructor, so if you will, I still got to listen for this. I don't have another empty constructor, so therefore I have to still listen for all this stuff. So let's do that. So let's kind of enter all this stuff in again. I'm just going to copy and paste, of course, because I'm lazy. Right, so copy, I go back to my villain, and inside my parentheses here, I'm going to paste in my the stuff that I need. Well, this is cool. Now it says, well, it does not contain a constructor that takes 0 arguments. Why? Because I got to call from my villain class, I got to call my superclass. And I can use, if I look at the, how do I call my superclass? Do you guys know how to do it from within my hero class? I got to be able to call. Even though I'm making my new villain class, I need to call my parent constructor. Do you guys remember how? Have you ever seen it in C#? Well, let's go over to the PowerPoints, because that's the piece that we're missing. So I've extended my class, right, which is all cool, right? And here's my my demo employees, right? I've got my new employee here and my new commission employee. This is all good, and it has different, it's a specialized version of my employee class. But what I need to do is, and now they're talking about access specifiers here, but what I need to do is, and in this particular case, and this is why they haven't shown you a constructor. I'm going to jump back to protected in a second, right? But I don't have my I don't have a constructor, and I need to not override the constructor, but rather reference the base class constructor method. Because if I don't do that, I'm just going to go forward for a second, I can't create a new class based on my other class. So I'm just going to go forward. So I'm just skipping forward. This is the object class it's talking about, la la la. And just want to show it to you. These are all that you can override the, okay, here we go. So here's the base class constructor must execute first, like it says, right? And if you notice, here's my employee example of my employee class, right? And now I make a commission employee, right? And I want to try and do this. I want to try and create a commission, I want to do this, execute my employee class, which is an empty constructor. This is fine because both my employee class and my commission employee have an empty constructor. But what happens when I have a parameterized constructor for my superclass like I do here, right? Let's go see that. So here's my my commission employee, and I need to use the base keyword, right? And send in, just like we did last time with arguments, I got to send in my base arguments. Now there's two ways to do this thing. Let's see if I can do this so it shows you. I'm wondering if there's an example here. Because if there's not, I'm going to have to create my own. Right, because this is in your documentation, and I don't want to mess this up for you guys. Display animals, and of course we're not showing a superclass that's extended because this is the kind of book that this is. That's okay, because we're going to make it happen. I'm just going to skip forward for a second, waste your time a little bit, and we're going to do it in a room. Okay, so remember, in order for us to, if we want to make our derived class like it shows, right, I've got to call my base class with the base keyword, right? And if you notice here, here's what I'm taking in, int, health, smarts, and gender, but I don't have to send in these things, right? It's looking for me, just like as I would create a new object. When I send things to my base, it's almost like I'm creating a base object to base my my child object from, right? So here, because I'm taking in health, smarts, and gender, I don't have to tell you I don't have to declare the variable type anymore. It just has to be just like it says, health, right, smarts, and gender. And the reason for that is because I already took them in. Here's where they're incoming, health, smarts, and gender. I don't have to declare them again here. They know it's an integer and two integers and a string, right? So this is how it has to be. So now once I've sent them to the constructor or to the parent's constructor class, I can create my new villain from this. Okay, and again, one thing I'm going to take in, which is not part of my parent, is the name, which I'm going to put in first. So my villain class is going to require a name, right, that I'm going to add in. Now it doesn't mess things up if you notice. And now my name, this dot name, is equal to name that I'm taking in. Okay, this is how it's going to be. So this is the new thing that's coming in from my my villain class. So my villain class, even though it's a hero, I have all the traits of a hero. I even have courage because the villain has to have courage. For now, I can override this later, and we'll talk about overrides tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to create a new public method. Right, my public methods are going to be does bad things, right? So I'm going to say public void, and I'm just to keep in line with what I put in the hero, because my hero says does good things, right? I'm just going to keep it the same, does bad things. That's what it does, right? And I'm just going to, just to save time, I'm just going to take this console command and put it into my does bad things and just change the good to the bad, and maybe even the ugly. Bad and ugly things. Right? Actually, I'm not going to confuse you. Bad things. We'll put it in an ugly method later. Right? That was a little joke. Okay. Of course, no one got it. Let me just put this in here. All right. Okay. So now I've got my villain, and based off the hero class, this is the syntax that I need here. Right? I need to put in this base method. Right? Can I put this base method, by the way, here? And the answer is yes, because remember, C# doesn't care about spacing. So this is what you might see it like this, right? So public base with a colon down over here so that it saves a little bit of space. And this is fine. I would recommend something like this methodology as opposed to, and this is very strict because other languages allow you to declare other properties before you declare the base. But don't worry about that. All right, this is cool. And I'm going to go into my program, and now I'm going to declare my villain, right? So I'm going to say villain, right? My villain is equal to new villain, and she needs a name, right? We're going to call her, oh, what happened there? She needs a name, and I'm going to call, the name is going to be Spider Girl. Why not? Because it's a girl again. And she's even going to be smarter than a hero and healthier. 8, 9, with a 9 smarts, and she's going to be female. She's really smart. Right? And you know what? My villain, look, I have access to does bad things and does good things. We got to fix this tomorrow. I shouldn't have access to does good things at all because my hero, my villain, shouldn't be allowed to do that. We'll fix that. We'll override it tomorrow and take it away. So does good things is okay. Does bad things is what I really want to do, right? And we'll run it. So now you see a couple things, doing good things, yeah. Doing bad things, yeah. And both those messages come from the hero and the villain class. Okay? So again, I made 2 classes, or 2 objects, based off the same class. And if you notice, if I go my villain, right, my villain, if I go dot, has access to both of these methods, even though I never declared does good things, right? I didn't declare does good things within my villain class. It's only available, it should only be available if we didn't have inheritance in my hero, but I have access to both, right? But again, tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to override methods, and we're going to allow, because that's going to help us with going to inheritance. We're also going to talk about abstract classes and interfaces. So we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, we'll leave it like this. And wait a minute. Oh man, I forgot my workflow. I've got to go to Team Explorer, and I'm exaggerating here for you guys to just show you what I do, right? I go to Team Explorer, go to Changes, and I'll say Added Villain Class, right? And we do a commit, and go to Home, and go to Unsync Commits, and click on Sync. And now when I go to GitHub, and I refresh, right, I have 5 commits, and it includes both the hero and the villain class. Yes? See you guys tomorrow.